promised in the previous videos, I'm going to tell a bit about the activities of the Da Nang Art for Children Gallery. Well, there's always something interesting to do in the gallery. First of all, we have special activities during the temporary exhibitions. We also have special activities on request. This can take place in the gallery but also on location. And finally, we have the basic activities. Characteristic of our activities is that no prior knowledge is required. They can be performed at different levels, and also the children can work in groups. The activities are in general carried out individually. It is also special that we provide additional background information for guidance in our manual. That information is not really relevant for doing the activities, but all the children are often very interested and you should be able to tell them something extra. So in this video I present you some activities based on the square. The square is a bit like a circle but with corners, or is a circle a bit like a square but without corners. The best example of this question we find on the street, where there are all square tiles but, well, has a round lid. And if you're wondering why the lid is round, well, the reason is that a round lid cannot fall into the well. A square lid can. Both the square and the circle are great interesting geometric shapes. But for this video I stick with the square. I'm going to give a few examples of our activities from the square. However, since this is the first video about the activities in the Art for Children gallery, I thought it might be nice to visit the gallery that we started with, but which we had closed due to COVID. Well, to go to the gallery we had to take the stairs. Going upstairs you could see already some paintings of cats, and at the time of the visit we had two exhibitions: kites painted by international artists and the drawings of the Proverbs Quartet. We also have an activity with kites and with proverbs, but that's for another video. For now, the first activity I like to present you is origami folding. Folding paper is known as origami. It's Japanese, and ori means folding and kami means paper. So, well, the goal is to transform a flat square sheet of paper into a finished sculpture through folding. The paper must have good quality. We have special cut paper and we can fold so many things. But we fold, of course, a cat, because the gallery is named after the cats Bong and Pancake. There was also a third cat named Dracula. Here you can see them all three waiting to welcome the visitors. We already saw in the video that the central work table has a structure, and that shows how a cat can be folded, step by step. On one side we can see the examples to fold an easy cat, the other side examples for a more difficult one. When they are folding the cat, it doesn't look always the same as the example, but we just let them try again and help them to look carefully what they are doing. The good of this activity is that they see immediately that not following the instructions is leading to another result. Thus what the children learn is to follow instructions, which is what we call learning to apply standard rules. We help them by telling to look carefully at the examples and compare it with what they have done themselves. When we walk through the process of their folding, we talk with the children and ask them about how they could make some variations. So we can say that it's what we call learning to adapt standard rules. So if you're not familiar with this expression, I like to mention the previous video about developing educational projects. There I'm telling about that learning has several processes, and what we do is with the activities we try to stimulate certain or specific of those abilities that children need to learn well. So the next square we can work with is a very famous tangram square. The concept is simple. A square is divided in 7 pieces. With those 7 pieces we can make different figures. We can make figures ourselves, but there are also a lot of figures already made with those 7 pieces. The children have to try and find out how to make such an already existing figures. Some are difficult and, well, some are not. Let's take for example this cat. The children have to look carefully and try to find a solution. In the beginning, tangram is a difficult game, but after some time children learn on one side how to combine the pieces into specific forms. On the other side they learn to analyze a figure, and we can help them to look carefully and to make a plan which form is obvious, like the parallelogram on the bottom. However, this can be also made by 2 triangles. While playing, the children also learn to name the forms and the characteristics they have. Forms help us to remember, to analyze, to remember things. To play this game, they have to organize their thinking and must act accordingly to a plan. There's also a very interesting story related to the origin of the tangram puzzle. We know that it is invented some 1,000 years ago during the Song dynasty in China. Curious is that in the same period the Chinese invented the movable type printing. In the very past they were using one big wood block to print the page. When they wrote something wrong, well, they had to make a complete new block. So Su Bin-cheng thought that it would be smart to cut the printing block in smaller pieces. Then when something was wrong, they only had to change the wrong piece. And just as with the tangram, they could make many different texts with those blocks. So I don't know whether they first invented the tangram or first the movable type printing, but they are originating at the same place in the same time. Is it a coincidence? I don't think so. And speaking of the letterpress block, the writing system used during the Song dynasty was a logographic character script. For a few thousand years the Vietnamese also used that logographic writing. They were using the classical Chinese characters called Hannon. The Vietnamese characters is called Chunon. Interesting is that those characters arose from realistic images that became more and more abstracted over the years. In one of our next videos I will describe the gallery activities related to abstract images. But for now it's nice to see how, for example, the character for house is developed. It started as a drawing of a pig under a roof. Pigs were very valuable and therefore had to be well protected. When then we see how this image was abstracted into the current character. So logographic means that we use a sign of character to represent a word or a phrase or an idea. So we can see how useful this abstracted script can be from the many logos we encounter everywhere. This sign, for example, well, gives you when you want to go out and you follow the arrow. And this sign means you must hurry to find this place. Children can try to remember other logos whom are common used, and maybe they can develop their own logos. Abstracting figurations and concepts to create logos is a good example of insightful learning. It's learning to reduce to the essence, to why we know and remember things, as we will talk about it in another video. Meanwhile, We started this video with Bomb and Pancake, so I like to end with them. In one of the coming videos we will talk about making circular books. The other day we had a nice exhibition with circular books, and Pancake was very happy to help to organize the exhibition, as you can see. Thank you for watching. See you in the next videos or at Patreon.